Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Śrī Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu classes. So we'll be starting a brand new and a very important section today, which is Rāgānuga Bhakti. So before we start that, we need all the blessings of the previous acharyas, especially for this section. So I will share my screen and we will go from there. 1 second. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओके Okay, so we will continue our study of Śrī Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami, English Nectar of Devotion by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we can sing here together in the room, and on Zoom we can stay mute. Krishna Kirtan Gana Nartana Paro Premamritambo Nidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priyo Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito Shri Chaitanya Kripa Bharo Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahantarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Sadharma Sanstapako Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. Let's recite the memorization verses quickly. And now you can unmute on Zoom if you would like and repeat like in lead follow. Anyabhilashita shunyam
Anyabhilashita shunyam
Jnanakarmadhyanavritam
Jnanakarmadhyanavritam
Anukulyena Krishnanu
Anukulena Krishnanu
Sheelanam Bhaktiruttama
Shrilanam Bhakti-rasāmṛta
Sarvopadhi Vinirmuktam
Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam
Tatparatvena Nirmalam
Tatparatvena Nirmalam
Shikena Rishikesha
Rishikena Vrishikesha
Vanam Bhaktiruchyate
Devanam Bhakti-ruchyate
Atah Shri Krishna Namadi
Atah Shri Krishna Namadi
Na Bhavyed Grahyamindriyai
Na Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ
Sevonmukhe hi jivhado
Devonmukhe jivado
Vayam eva sfuratyadaha
Vayam eva sfuratyadaha
Anasaktasya vishayan
Anasaktasya vishayam
Yatharaham upayunjataha
Yadharam upayunjataha
Krishna sambandhe
Nirbandha Krishna sambandhe
Tam vairagyam uchyate.
Yuktam vairagyam uchyate.
Okay. So now Śrī Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ. Okay. Okay. We will go to slide number 366. Okay. Rāgānuga Bhakti. So we are going to start this topic today. Okay. So last time I hadn't made the slides on the last few topics, mainly Eka Anga and Anek Anga. So for benefit of the viewers, I just want to flash those slides. Actually, also not on the Ek Anga and Anek Anga. One versus multiple limbs. So just 2-minute quick recap of what we discussed last time, that Uttama Bhakti can be performed either via one limb or multiple limbs, Ek Anga or Anek Anga. 64 limbs were described. So it's not like you can, more is better. One is totally just fine. And it's purely dependent on one's personal desire, taste, and nature, swabhava. But if practiced with steadiness, with nishtha, both can lead to the final result. So here there is, these are the 9 limbs of bhakti as per Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj is describing 7.5.23 and 24, very, very famous verse. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. And then in the Shri Padyavali, Shri Rupa Goswami had composed a verse where he gave the example of devotees who just executed one limb of each of these 9 types. So all of these, as you can see, are perfect devotees. There is like completely, these are the topmost devotees. So you cannot say that, one limb is less than somebody who performs 2 or 3. Nothing like that. So this is the 265th verse, which is taken from Sri Padyavali. And the examples given are for Sri Vishnu Shravane Parikshit. So Parikshit Maharaj for Shravan. Vayasaki is another name for Sri Shukadev Goswami. So for Kirtana is Sri Shukadev Goswami. Prahlad Maharaj for Smaran. Mother Lakshmi for Tad Angri Bhajan. Angri means feet. So the Pada Sevanam. And Prithu for Pujane, for the activity of Archanam or Pujanam. Akruraji for Vandanam, Abhivandane. Kapipati. Kapipati is Hanumanji, the sort of the lord of the monkeys. Kapipati is Hanumanji for Dasya. And Sakhya is Arjuna. And Bali Maharaj for Sarvasvatma Nivedana. So Atma Nivedanam is Bali Maharaj. So this is the verse that gives the example, and all these are one on top of the other. They are like the most exalted devotees. So there is absolutely no this thing that one limb is less than the other. And then there is an example of Ambarish Maharaj, who performed all 9 limbs of bhakti, and there is a detailed famous verses, Savai Manaha Krishna Padaravindayor, those 3 verses which describe the activity of Ambarish Maharaj, and you can see that he's also the topmost devotee. Sudarshan Chakra himself was protecting Ambarish Maharaj. So his, those 3 verses are describing he's the Aneka Anga Bhakta. So it does not matter. And this is also known as Maryada Marg by Sri Vallabhacharya, another name Vaidhi Marg or Maryada Marg, same thing. So just wanted to flash those slides for sake of completion, but we already discussed last time. Okay, now we are discussing Rāgānuga Bhakti. This is a very, very important section, and I must start by humbly admitting that I have no experience of this, and I am just giving a theoretical understanding. I am myself trying to understand this path, and I'm just sharing with you. So I hope, please forgive any mistakes. I hope I can do some justice by simply repeating what I have understood from previous acharyas and from my gurujanas. So kindly forgive me if I make any mistakes. So with that humble request, we will discuss this. At the same time, I must also say that I have been, studying quite a bit about this, acknowledging my shortcoming. So to try to make up for it by a sort of, a lot of trying, my attempt to understand has been there. So I'm sharing from all of the understanding I have obtained. So Rāgānuga Bhakti, also translated as spontaneous devotional service in Nectar of Devotion by Srila Prabhupada. This is chapter number 15. So this entire section of Rāgānuga Bhakti is covered in 2 chapters, 15 and 16, and in 40 verses. So from 270 to 309. In today's class, now please, if you were sleeping or dozing off, please wake up now. Today's class, I will try to give some of the essence of the whole sort of concept of Rāgānuga Bhakti. So we may not cover a lot of verses, but I will try to give the essence of what it is, what it means, because ultimately it's not about writing a homework or passing an exam. It is about trying to understand what it is, and far more importantly, trying to implement it in our lives. So with that intention, please pay very close attention, especially to today's class, because I'll give an overview as we go along some of the initial verses. So please pay attention. Before that, let us go back do a quick review of Vaidhi Bhakti. So Vaidhi Bhakti was defined very early on in this chapter on sadhana bhakti. Yatra rāgānuga pravrittir upajayate shasane naiva shastrasya sa vaidhi bhaktir uchyate. So, due to the lag of raga, due to lack of attachment, and here it means attachment to Sri Krishna. So, rāgānuga pravrittir upajayate, whatever are the action, pravritti means whatever comes out of it due to lack of attachment to Sri Krishna. So the main point is attachment to Sri Krishna is not there yet. Okay, strong attachment to Krishna. But Shastra Shashan is there. Shasane naiva shastrasya. The injunction includes two things, do's and don'ts, or what we call as rules and regulations. They don't or they are the primary drivers. Shasan eva shastrasya. So eva means that's the only impelling factor. Eva, only. So the only impelling factor is the injunctions of the Shastra, and then you do activities of bhakti. Whatever now here Shastra means Bhakti Shastra. So there are so many Bhakti Shastras. The whole thing that we just read, the 64 limbs of Bhakti, is Bhakti Shastra. So that is Vaidhi Bhakti because it is telling you don't do this, do this. There were so many do's and don'ts. And it was written so many times, if you do this, you will get this benefit, you will attain this liberation or that liberation, and so on and so forth. All those things were mentioned. So just like, so there is no taste for doing it, but you are doing it because somebody is telling you it is good for you. Or maybe you are yourself telling yourself. It's not like somebody here, like I have given this example of drinking milk. In most cases, the mom or dad tells the child. So it is the fear of the mom and dad which impels the child to drink milk. Okay. But sometimes even it could be self-driven, but for one's health. The doctor says you are low on calcium. Either I can give you prescription drugs which will have side effects, or you can just drink milk, which is a good source of calcium. Choice is yours. Your calcium is low. If you don't do this, you will have arthritis, or you will have, small fall and your bones will break easily, or your bones will become brittle, or whatever may be the fear. So sashan or shasan has this element of fear. If you don't do this, then ... So take a moment and try to think in your mind. Now, all of you are devotees and very strong devotees. Why are you doing the activities of bhakti? And no need to answer. I'm not going to question, or you don't need to say anything. Just in your mind, do this as an exercise right now for 30 seconds or 1 minute. Why are you doing? And really inquire, why am I doing? Initial answer may be due to love of Krishna. But try to inquire deeper, question yourself, really put yourself in some example situations. What if this were to happen? What if that were to happen? X, Y, Z. And still try to question, then real answer may come. So for me, I can share with you, because I have done this exercise on myself before. I can say it is due to some kind of fear or some kind of desire, at best some kind of duty. So remember that FDDL, fear, desire, duty, and finally love, is why we perform devotional seva or devotional service. So FDD is all Vaidhi. So try to think. For me, it could be, if I don't do this, again, next life I have to take birth as a cat or dog. I don't want that. Or even in this life, or, now I'm in my temple, people consider me, oh, he's a nice dude, Prabhuji. So I have to live up to that standard. So I must do. What if they find out that actually inside I am, as materialistic as anybody else? So some kind of pretense. It's a combination of pretense, fear, or at sometimes, duty feeling also, no, you know, whenever good things happen to me, Shastra tells, you know, it's not by coincidence. Krishna's mercy is there. It is happening. Oh, Krishna, thank you so much. No, I must. Since you did this to me, I must become serious, more serious. Sense of all those things. Love, true love for Krishna? I don't think so. So that is my situation. So take a minute and just see in your heart, and it's nothing wrong, and you don't have to reveal either. So, but do this exercise. Okay. I hope you got a chance to think. And if time was not enough, it's a good exercise to think. And also, what you can think out of it is, why not love for Krishna? Okay, why not? Now, that may be a very hard question. And if one very easy way to think about it is arranged marriage versus love marriage. So, marriage is a point when you're committing to each other. Now, you can ask, why don't I love this girl? Why not? There's no answer. I mean, there has been no prior, you know, association, or, you know, just those feelings don't exist. So that may be a fair answer. There is no this thing that, oh, she's not beautiful enough, or she's not very rich, or, you know, won't, I have to still work till 65 to retire. If she was, you know, karodpati baap ki iklauti beti, so I could have retired today. So many reasons, you know, still that is not love. If it is a beautiful girl, 10, 15 years later, the beauty will fade. Will you still continue to love then? Or whatever may be the reasons. So you cannot answer that, but just try to inquire within yourself that what is impelling your bhakti? And is there an element of love for Krishna? And if you remember, when we were discussing this verse early on, many weeks ago, there was the desire or our attachment to sense gratification. We are all attached. I am attached to sense gratification. So nobody tells us that you must do, if you don't do sense gratification, you'll miss out on a lot of fun. Therefore, do sense gratification. There was no fear. There was no duty. Oh, it's my duty to gratify my sense. It was just a natural hankering. The moment you're done with all the regular tasks, you want to jump into that. That's your, that's what you actually want to do. After, you know, taking care of all the necessary things that have been burdened on you. Thop diya hai sir pe. So whatever has been thopoed on your head, after that, the moment you have even 2 minutes of free time, what do you want to do? So for most people is sense gratification. If that is replaced by bhakti of Krishna or activities of bhakti of Krishna, that is attachment to Krishna. Okay. So with that sort of recap of Vaidhi Bhakti, and it also the opposite gives a sense of Rāgānuga Bhakti, we will start the discussion of Rāgānuga Bhakti. So here I want to share a very important verse for many people. For me also, when I read it, it was an eye-opener. Many of you have read it already, but still we want to discuss this. the significance of Raganuga Bhakti. So the difference between Vaidhi and Raganuga. So here this is a verse from Sri Chaitanya by Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in the very beginning of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And this chapter is titled The External Reason of Appearance or Reasons of Appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So that is the context in which this verse is coming up, and it is a very important verse which says, Sakala jagate more kare vidhi bhakti, vidhi bhakti vraja bhava paite nahi shakti. So the whole world, everywhere in the world, sakala jagate more kare, of me, more kare, the people are doing what? Vidhi bhakti, Vaidhi bhakti. So everywhere in the world, people worship me according to scriptural injunctions, do's and don'ts. But vidhi bhakti vraj bhava paite nahi shakti. Vraj bhava. So if one wants to develop that love for Krishna, like those of the Vrajvasis, vraj bhava will never appear by doing Vaidhi Bhakti. So Vaidhi Bhakti, a mechanical consequence of Vaidhi Bhakti is not Raganuga Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti by itself naturally does not lead to Raganuga Bhakti. It does not lead to Vraja Bhav at all. We will see what it leads to. So when we say at the end of this life, go back to Godhead, what does it mean? Go back to where? Goloka. So that is what we have been told. Goloka Vrindavan. So it is said that by doing Vaidhi Bhakti, Golok Vrindavan is not attained. Not attained. So have we been told the wrong thing so far? Not really. We will see. So there is a connection between Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. There is a connection. And that connection is of what? Okay. One word, I will say, inspiration. Okay. From Vaidhi Bhakti, just like arranged marriage. Okay. Now, I'm not going to ask anybody, but many people have arranged marriage. After 10 years, 15 years, would you say there is genuine love between the husband and wife? Look at yourselves if you were in arranged marriage, or look at your parents if they were in arranged marriage. And children know whether my mom and dad really have genuine love between them or not. They can sense. Would you say that after 10, 15, I'm picking some number, it could happen after 2 years, 3 years itself, but I'm taking a long enough number to kind of cover a large, all possible scenarios. Yes, in my parents' case, there was, I would say. It was a pakka arranged marriage. So, what is that connection? And of course, the other way is also true. First, there is love, and then the marriage occurs, and most cases that ends happily. So that one is easier to understand. So the connection is that of inspiration. By continuing to engage in Vaidhi Bhakti, one may get the inspiration. And it's an overloaded term here, but somehow or the other, that desire, that switch over occurs from mechanical to love. You want to do that. If you had free time, that's what you want to do. So that inspiration could be the link. Okay. So it's not wrong. No, we are not fools. We are not being cheated to perform Vaidhi Bhakti. And it's also not a cheating, or nobody's lying when one says that you can go to Goloka Vrindavan. The switch over point is the switch over from Vaidhi to Raganuga through that inspiration. And we will see more. And that inspiration comes by the mercy of Krishna or a devotee of Krishna. We will see this in the last verse, 309 of Raganuga section. If you want, you can look it up if you have access to the Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu. Krishna or Tad Bhakte. So Krishna or by his devotees' kripa, one gets the inspiration to enter into Raganuga Bhakti. Okay. So where does Vaidhi Bhakti itself lead to and all that? This is a very important section. So this is a very important verse, 3.15 in Adi Lila. I want to read all the verses, these 9 verses from 11 to 19, to also see that section, not just sometimes we take the verse in sort of, one could say, hey, out of context. So let's see the whole context of these 9 verses. So I have a, Oh, there's no way to show 2 apps at the same time. I forgot. So, okay, I'll read out I wrote down the summary of all these 9 verses. So let's go through the actual verses and I will read out the summary and then it's displayed here. I will bring it up again. So, Chaitanya, let me share my screen here. Okay. So here we have Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, 3rd chapter, which is, as I said, external reasons of the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We will start from verse number 11. Okay. So this gives some additional context as well, which is why I wanted to go over it. Dasya Sakhya Vatsalya Shringara Charirasa. I'm sorry, I'm not a very good singer. So Chari Bhavera Bhaktayata Krishna Tara Vasha. So servitude or dasya, sakhya, vatsalya and shringara ras. Shringar is another name for madhurya. Okay. Are the 4 transcendental mellows or rasas. By the devotees who cherish these 4 mellows, Lord Krishna is subdued. So Krishna Tara Vasha. Krishna vash mein aa jate hain. Vash mein aa jate hain means he comes under control. Again, devotee is not trying to control Krishna, but Krishna automatically just becomes in control. He comes under the control of the devotees of these 4 rasas. Next. Dasa Sakha Pita Mata Kanta Gana Laya Vraja Krida Kare Krishna Prema Vishta Haya. So, again, those 4, Dasa, Sakha, Mata Pita, which is Vatsalya, Kantagana. Kantagana means those who are in, conjugal love with him. Vraja Krida Kare Krishna Prema Avishta Haya. So the Krishna becomes completely Prema Avishta, becomes completely absorbed in love with these devotees. So the first one was saying the devotees love Krishna in one of these 4 mellows or 4 rasas, and Krishna becomes completely absorbed himself in these. I think one of the next verse will say that, but by Vaidhi Bhakti, this does not happen. So, absorbed in such transcendental love, Lord Shri Krishna enjoys in Vraja with his devoted 4 types: servants, friends, parents, and conjugal lovers. So in these 4 rasas. Then this is describing that Lord Krishna, after he left, so let us see, Lord Krishna enjoys his transcendental pastimes. This was in Dwapar Yuga. He enjoys his transcendental pastimes as long as he wishes, and then he disappears. At the end of Dwapar Yuga, he disappears, right? And then that's the end of Lord Krishna's pastimes. Then Kali Yuga begins. So after disappearing, however, he thinks like this. How does he think? That for a long time, I have not bestowed unalloyed loving service to me upon the inhabitants of the world. There is no prema for Krishna. Krishna prem doesn't exist in the world. And without such loving attachment, bhakti vina jagatera nahi avasthana. So there is no use, there is no meaning, there is no significance to the existence of this jagat if there is no bhakti, if there is no prema bhakti to me, to Krishna. So that's how he is thinking. And then he thinks that without that, they will not get Vraj Bhav. This was that verse. Everywhere in the world, people are doing Vaidhi Bhakti, which is not the same as the bhakti coming out of love or attachment to Krishna. So without that, people will not get Vraj Bhav. So what will they get instead? Now that is the important thing which I wanted to bring out, that the difference between Vaidhi and Raganuga, another important difference. One is rules and regulations. But if you see rules and regulations, the shasan word is there. Fear. Who are you afraid of? You are afraid of a stronger person than you or a weaker person than you? Stronger. So you are looking at God as a stronger person. That is the point of shasan. That, oh, God is the supreme Lord. If he's like this, what do you call this? Strict God with a stick in his hand. Always the judge. So if I don't do this, he will beat me with a stick. Or if I carrot and stick. So he is the God of carrots and sticks. That is Aishwarya Jnana. Having the Aishwarya Jnana of Bhagwan, that he is so supreme, he is so powerful. And if I don't follow the rules and regulations, I'll get the stick. If I follow the rules and regulations, I'll be happy. So knowing my opulence, the whole world looks upon me with awe and veneration. But devotion made feeble by such reverence does not attract me. So what he's saying is that Aishwarya Shithila Prema Nahi Mora Prita. So this is very feeble love. Shithil Prem. And I don't feel fully satisfied with this kind of love to me. If your children love you because of you're a strong, strict father, in deep down, the father doesn't, he wants more. So this is Lord Krishna's situation. And then he says, by performing, but there is a benefit. By performing such regulated devotional service in awe and veneration, which is Aishwarya Jnana, one may go to Vaikuntha and attain those 4 kinds of liberation. Again, we are talking about bhaktas here, devotees. So the 5th kind, which is Sayujya, which is the impersonal liberation, is anyway ruled out. So they do go to Vaikuntha. They are personalists. They do go to Vaikuntha. But they don't go to Goloka Vrindavan. And they get these 4 types of Chatur Vidha Mukti Paya. And what I think the last one is telling, this one is telling the 4 types of one, which is Sarshti, Sarupya, Ara, Samipya, Salokya, Sayujya, Na Laya Bhakta Yate Brahma Aikya. So this Brahma Aikya, becoming one with Brahman, the devotees don't want. So the 5th one is excluded, but these are the remaining 4 which they can get, the Vaidhi Bhaktas. So it's still a, very noble. So it's not that Vaidhi Bhakti is bad or anything, but just that it is not done out of that desperate love for Krishna, and it does not lead to Goloka Vrindavan, it leads to Vaikuntha. And last one, and therefore, just to kind of complete the context of or give meaning to the title of the chapter, therefore Lord Chaitanya thinks, these people, because Vaidhi Bhakti was very prevalent, let me go down and introduce this process, of the Yuga Dharma of Nama Sankirtan, by which the Prema Bhakti will be introduced. I shall personally inaugurate the religion of the age, Nama Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy name. I shall make the world dance in ecstasy, realizing the four mellows of loving devotional service. So, Chari Bhava Bhakti, Diya Nachamu Bhuvana. So, this Bhava Bhakti I will give them. And Bhava Bhakti is the stage previous to Prema Bhakti. So, from this Sadhan Bhakti, of which Vaidhi and Raganuga are two parts, they will be able to ultimately graduate to Bhava Bhakti through the process or through the aspect of love, not through Vaidhi. Okay?
Here four mellows are we referring to the
Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya and Madhurya. Okay? So now we will, as you can see, now it will make more sense if I switch to this. So, Lord Krishna first says that these are the four rasas that bring me under control. Okay? And the devotees are, loving me in one of these four rasas, and the next verse, number 12, I come in under the control of such devotees. But then he says that, this has been lost since I disappeared from the world. And what has been prevalent since then? Vaidhi Bhakti. But that does not lead to Vraj Bhav, which is the highest, or Golok Vrindavan, which is the highest destination. Vaidhi Bhakti does lead to, or the reason why it doesn't lead to that love is because it does not attract, it is not in one of those four mellows or four rasas. It's Aishwarya Jnana. So there is Aishwarya, but not Prema in any of one of those four. And it does not really attract Krishna. So, but Vaidhi Bhakti can make you go to Vaikuntha in one of those four liberations. But if you want to love Krishna in any one of those four rasas, then it has to be through Raga. And the starting point is Nama Sankirtan. So this is how much we have covered so far. Now let us start the actual Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu, which is definition of rāgānuga Bhakti. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. So let us go into the verse. So this is the first verse. Virajantim abhivyaktam vrajavasi janadishu rāgātmikām anusrita yasa rāgānuga uchyate. So Virajantim abhivyaktam means that Virajantim means one which is Viraj, Virajman hai, jaise like clearly visible. The king in a court, we say na Bhagwan ya Raja Viraje hue hain. Viraj matlab he is sitting on the throne. So in the court, when you enter, who's the first one you see? Clearly, the king on the throne. So in that way, abhivyaktam, it's clearly visible. That aspect of bhakti which is clearly visible in who? Vrajvasi Jan. Adishu. So Jana Adishu. So here I'll explain that. Adishu means also in the cows, birds, plants, grass, etc. All these have in Golok Vrindavan, they also have, but we will only stick to we'll say human form. Okay. But even this bhakti is there even in these, and it's clearly visible that they are completely, it's so obvious that they are so devoted to Krishna. And so this is called Ragatmika Bhakti, Bhakti which follows such Ragatmika Bhakti. So the first two lines are not really giving an explanation, but it's just giving a pointer to Ragatmika Bhakti. That Bhakti which is clearly visible in the Vrajvasis. What is it? We don't know yet. So just imagine the Vrajvasis. Now, this would not make sense to those who have heard nothing about Vrajvasis. But I'm assuming all of you have heard something about Vrajvasis. Is it true? Anybody here who has heard nothing about Vrajvasis? Probably not. So now you can imagine your favorite Vrajvasi and, you can see the bhakti in them. Then the bhakti which follows such Ragatmika Bhakti is called Raganuga Bhakti, which follows that. Okay? Yes. So in the room, Mataji is saying, like we have a role model, or we have like a sort of a very exemplary devotee, and the bhakti which follows that, and it will all be explained in detail. This is just the first verse, is called Raganuga Bhakti. So there are two terms here, Ragatmika Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. And then there are two more terms, Ragatmika Bhakta and Raganuga Bhakta. So Ragatmika Bhakta performs. What is Bhakti? Bhakti is one which is performed. It's an activity. You can also perform it in the mind, by the way. But it is still called performing. So Ragatmika Bhakti is performed by Ragatmika Bhakta. I'm just telling you the terminology. Raganuga Bhakti, we say, is performed by Raganuga Bhakta. Or one who is performing Raganuga Bhakti is a Raganuga Bhakta. One who is performing Ragatmika Bhakti is a Ragatmika Bhakta. Clear? At least the terms are clear. And also it is clear from here that Ragatmika Bhakti is, or the Ragatmika Bhakta are these Vrajvasis, the topmost, like they are the devotees, the topmost devotees. That is who is Ragatmika Bhaktas. Okay. Now, what is the one key word? So Janadishu, I explained. Just to explain, Jana would have been complete. Vrajvasi Jana. What is Adi? Adi means etc. So I explained from one of the commentaries by previous Acharya, it is written Adi means this. Okay. So I have explained that. Now the most important, or one very important word is this anusrita. Ragatmikam anusrita. So that means that bhakti, ya sa means she, which is doing anusarana. So we must understand this word, anusaran. Another synonym of anusarana is anugamana. And there is an opposite of that as well, which is called anukarana. So you will see these words in Sanskrit many places, and therefore it is important to understand this. And we have had this discussion many times, following in the footsteps versus imitate or imitation. Have all of you have heard this discussion? Following in the footsteps versus imitation. So imitation is never recommended, but you must follow in the footsteps. So what is the difference? So let us say, I'll give some examples. We must never imitate. Imitate means directly trying to copy them. And most of the time it is like a pretense, external copying without internal genuineness or without internal feeling. So you say, oh, Haridas Thakur chanted 192 rounds. Tomorrow I will chant. From tomorrow, not tomorrow. That's fine. One day it's maybe fine. From tomorrow onwards, I will chant 192 rounds. Right from the beginning, first day you came into the temple, heard a class, and you were like, oh my God, he's considered Nam Acharya. I will show everybody I can also do. And one day you do, 2 day you do, third day, you feel like, okay, I don't know what I committed to. And fourth, fifth, after 1 week, you are not to be seen. Back to the material world. Because there was no genuine attachment to that process. It was just to show off, I can do. But, that's why it is said creation is much easier than maintenance. Creation is therefore called an activity in the mode of passion. Maintenance is in the mode of goodness. You need mode of goodness to maintain that level. Passion, anybody out of passion can create. Even website, temple had a website. Some devotee joined the temple, was a good web developer, created a very nice website. After 2 years, it is outdated. And nobody even knows the password, how to update. Maintenance, that's why I say keep a simple website, better to maintain it, have the latest programs. When you click on the website, you see 2017 Janmashtami. This is 2022 maybe, or 24. What's the point of having a brilliant website which is showing 4-year-old information? Better to have simple, maintainable website which shows today's accurate information. So one should try to, that's called following in the footsteps, means to do things slowly, gradually, and one day reach the topmost. Another example, for example, if you like cricket. So you see on the TV or whatever, Sachin Tendulkar from our time, those I don't know all the new ones, hitting sixes and this and that. And, with those, without wearing any helmet, in front of those top ballers at that time, Glenn McGrath and Wasim Akram. Oh my God. I remember hearing this thing, somebody was describing Wasim Akram's bowling. He was saying, I was just standing in the middle. Wasim Akram used to bowl, and Moin Khan, who was the wicket keeper, they were the ones who were playing. I was just trying to get out of the way. He would bowl, the wicket keeper would catch the ball. My job was to stay out. That was when you see Tendulkar, he's hitting the six. Now, if you go try to imitate him, maybe your head will break. So you should never do that. If you want to become anything even like Sachin Tendulkar, where do you need to start? In your local cricket ground. Because that's where he started. So that is following the footsteps. Don't try to jump into his shoes right now after he's became world champion. If you are at the beginning, you start where he started and follow the process. What he went through a long journey. He didn't start hitting sixes on Wasim Akram or Glenn McGrath on day one. He had to go through a rigorous journey. So following that footsteps. Okay. So now, so I hope you understand the aspect of following the footsteps versus imitate. Correct? Now there is a big question, a big unanswered question. What is it? How to follow without imitating? Okay. So let me tell you, a big unanswered question which we have not touched upon is, now I have given you that example, right? But I started off by saying, oh, you want to become like Sachin Tendulkar. How in the first place did you get even attracted to that, I want to become like Sachin Tendulkar? How did you get attracted to that vision or that goal or that object of desire? Why? Whether by imitation or by following the footsteps, keep that aside. Even to imitate, you at least got the attraction, oh, I want to do that. And because there was nobody to tell you, you ended up imitating and breaking your head. Fine. But how did you even get that initial desire to jump into the field? Why would you even do that? Ah, very nice. So Mataji said exposure to that. You sometimes some friend or whatever, chal cricket dekhte hain. You have no idea what is cricket. Let's go watch cricket. And then you go and watch. And then he explains you a little bit, if your ball crosses this line, it is 4 runs. Then you don't have to run 4 times. That's the equivalent of benefit. If you hit hard enough or whatever, and the ball crosses, it's as good as running 4 times. It's such a hard work each run to get, oh my God, very nice. 6 without touching the ground. If it goes 2 more extra runs. Now the interest develops in the game. Once you know, and then somebody tells you, oh, Wasim Akram. Oh my God, if you can even get 1 run out of him, that's even, as good as getting 4 runs on some other bowler. Oh, so when Wasim Akram comes to ball, you're like now sitting on the edge. So now you know about the game, is my point. And your interest now invests in the game. And then if somebody tells you this is semi-final or final versus like some low-level match, still it could be Wasim Akram versus Tendulkar. But the whole mood is completely different if it is the final versus some, group level game, isn't it? So all these things bring out that strong attachment into the activity, isn't it? Yes, nobody has to tell you that, oh, if you don't watch cricket, you will miss out on the fun. Nobody has to tell you. You finish your studies, you finish your work, and immediately you want to watch the latest game. So and then you start watching the game. Whenever there is a game you want to watch, and if your age, I used to watch, and then I also had a desire to play. Now, I was not very good at cricket. Plus, there you need you need the apparatus. You need few people. Cricket means you need to have at least 5-6 people minimum, let alone 22. Plus you need too much apparatus, and too many things need to come together to play for you to actually practice it. That's not the case with bhakti, by the way. You can perform it in a single closed room. So I didn't pick up that interest in the game, but I at that age, when my body would have been fine, at this age I cannot anyway, I would have definitely played. I was very interested. Now I'll tell you a personal story just for sake, since and I want to highlight some. I was thinking about this for a long time. And there was a game in which I could become, or I did become very good. And I can reflect on my life and see how that whole thing unfolded. And how many of you have heard of pool? The American pool game. On a table you have those balls. It's also called snooker. And there's yeah, and the older version is called billiards. It's just played with 3 balls. That was the original thing. Now in America, everything is like kind of, becomes, to make it more popular, they made the table size smaller, which is basically making it easier, okay, on a smaller table, and made the holes bigger. The balls are the same size. And if the goal is to put the ball in the hole, making the hole bigger, it makes it, so it's a watered down version of billiards. Billiards is like a much bigger table. It's like the test match versus T20, whatever, I don't know. So somehow or the other, so I come from Roorkee. There's the engineering college, IIT in Roorkee, and I studied there. And one thing that was, since it was established by the British, billiards is a British game, and they had like almost many tables. And in the main billiards club, they had 4 tables, one after the other. And it was like a very unique thing. Well, table tennis is everywhere, lawn tennis is everywhere, cricket is everywhere, whatever. So somebody took me one time, hey, let's go, I'll come. Have you seen billiards? And I was like, oh, I've never seen it. So somebody took me and told me this. Hey, you want to try it? And, so you start on table number 4, all the novices. Okay. So I tried a little bit. Now, I liked it. So somebody introduced me and told me some rules. And there was this levels in that club itself. Table 1, table 2, sorry, I'm going in a little digression, but table 3, table 4. Okay, so table 1 is considered the highest. And you're not allowed to at all play even on table 3 unless you have qualified, you have kind of, graduated from table 4. Then you come to 3, then 2, then 1. And that is because the cloth is extremely expensive. The whole table balancing and that whole process, every 6 months, they used to tune it up. And the cloth was very expensive in the early 90s. I'm talking 92, 93. The cloth was 2 lakh rupees. And if you rip the cloth, because when you hit with the cue, and if you are not an expert, you could just rip the cloth, it's like major damage. So, and they used to tighten the cloth. They used to open the cloth and tighten it. Every 6 months, table 1 used to get a brand new cloth. That table 1 was considered one of the best tables in all of the country. And that cloth would be transferred to table 2's cloth. Table 2's cloth would be transferred to 3. And so the 4th table had I don't know, whatever, 3-4-year-old cloth, maybe with some rips and this and that. So nobody cares. So you start your learning process over there. So I started there. And more than that, I used to sit and watch the people on table 1. And then you have to do your bookings, and then whenever you get like half an hour, I would play. 2 hours, I would sit and watch the people on table 1. And that would like inspire me. And there was a video cassette player, VCR, with some tapes. And they had some tapes of matches that were ongoing. At that time, the world champion, there was this arch rivalry like between Sachin and Glenn McGrath kind of thing, between Geet Sethi and Mike Russell. I don't know if you've heard those names. And Geet Sethi was Indian. So there was more like investment of the Indian public into that. Like Vishwanathan Anand for chess. Like, when you have an Indian player excelling in a game other than cricket, there is excitement. He was a world champion for many years. But his arch rival was like for Vishwanathan Anand, who was it? Not Kasparov, Kramnik, maybe. He was, yeah. And then later on, when this new guy, what was his name? Magnus Carlsen, he came and just completely destroyed everyone. So anyway, so there was those tapes. So anyway, I started playing the game. And then the interest started developing. And then I understood that it is so important, like when the interest developed, one goes into the details. It's not just the excitement. Now in cricket on TV, you can't really make out. And similarly on the Geet Sethi versus Mike Russell, I'll tell you some things you can make out. Now I'm not just going on a complete tangent here, okay? From the Bhakti side, you will see some connections. I will draw those connections. Okay? And this is just my personal sort of analysis. So please forgive me if there are mistakes. You start going into the details. So when I'm actually watching the game from like 5 feet away on table 1, I could see the technical details because I'm also playing. And a lot of technical details matter. It's not just one may think which angle you need to the right angle need to be there. It's not that. That's like 5% of the shot. It's the most important. If the angle is wrong, it will be like you won't even touch the other ball. Your striker ball will just make a few rounds on the table, empty rounds, and stop. So angle is important, but so many other things. Where on that striker ball you hit, with what speed you hit, with how much recoil you hit. Sometimes you have to hit and pull back. Sometimes you have to hit and keep going forward with the cue. And which angle at the point, once you have chosen at which point to hit, at which angle to hit. You can hit it like this, you can hit it straight, you can hit it like this, those slight things. There's a lot of technique. And I would observe then in the people who were playing, I would sometimes ask them, Hey, I've never seen like that. Hey, what happens when you hit like this? Then he would just give me something. This happens, that happens. And I would see that happening. Then I would go there and try. So the focus on the details is there. And like that, I kept improving my own game slowly and slowly and slowly. It turns out I had a cousin brother who's older than me, and his very close friend was one of the best players in the institute at that time. And so he introduced me to him, and I would go catch him one time or two times. Bhaiya, I would call him Bhaiya, please, I'm going to play. Jara mujhe dekh ke bataiye ki isme kya galat hai kya. Sometimes we used to find 3 minutes, 4 minutes. He would play with me. And when I'm going to take a shot, he would say, no, you're doing the wrong thing. Let me tell you, here, do like this, try that. Just some tips here, there. But from a very, very good, accomplished player. So I would get those tips. My game kept improving. And the best part was just watching the game. Always that was providing that inspiration. Oh my God, what a shot. Like I would never be. And in billiards, it's like have you played carom board? Like if you make the thing, you get another shot. So basically you keep getting shots. So to make a successful shot, which means to make it go in the pocket or something, is not enough. Your positioning of the striker ball also after the shot has been made is also important, because you play the shot from where it ends. So that final positioning is also important. Just like an analogy in cricket, it's just not important to hit a 4. You have to find the right gaps. When whatever little cricket I played, if I can hit the ball hard, that itself was success. But very soon you will realize that itself is not enough. You have to hit it within the right gaps. Otherwise you'll get caught. So all those things are important. So finally, like I kept improving. I still remember the day when I first played on the table 1. I still remember that. It was such an accomplishment to finally become a table 1 player. Like you're like in this elite list of people who are allowed to play on table 1. And anyway, finally, like all this was happening in my first year. And then by the end of the second year, I was the second year champion. Like there's a year level tournament, like all the second year guys compete. And then, my dad told me, you got to get a job as well. If you keep, and my grades weren't very good by the end, obviously, of second year. So third year onwards, I just left. So then I started focusing, because then I had to get a real job and, job interviews and grades. Anyway, so that was the end of my billiards career. But I still love it so much. And a very recent just a funny thing is that, I just a few years, about 10 years ago, I had not played for a very long time. I was playing with some I went to some devotee's house. They had a pool table. And pool is just a different game with different number of balls, but it's the same concept. You got to aim and you got to, hit, and it need to go in the thing. So they were playing and they invited me out of etiquette or out of friendship. We want to play? I said, yeah, sure, I'll play. I asked them, how do you play? What are the rules? Like which ball to hit, where to hit, how do you get points? And is it like should I hit the right ball? Like in carom board, you're not supposed to pot a black if you're a white or whatever. They told me, oh, you have to do like this, like this. I understood the rules. I started playing. Within 5 minutes, I cleaned up the table. And they said, you massacred us. You must be a champion pool player in your past life. I said, no, actually, I was a champion billiards player in my current life. Then they say, oh my God, you invited the wrong person to play. Anyway, so that's sort of what happened. Now connecting this to Rāgānuga. So in my own life, I could see like first that introduction, somebody took me and gave me a basic introduction. If that had not happened, now, because you are in that institute where that is such a popular game, it was more likely to happen. So the location matters. I hope you can see where I'm going with this. Okay, like living in Las Vegas versus living in Vrindavan. Yeah, you can be a drunkard even in Vrindavan, but chances are extremely low or that you will not become a devotee. So location, and then meeting the right people. So there is such a high concentration of people who play this game, and they introduced me to it. That is the second aspect. And then the inspiration. Now, maybe there was no such thing. There's a course on billiards, an official course that everybody has to take one semester. That's like Vaidhi. Now, some people may just say, oh my God, this was the worst course and I'm glad I'm through it. I'm never touching it again. It may be possible to convert that into a Vaidhi path, but of course, that such a thing did not exist. But that inspiration, now somebody through that may start developing, interest in it. This guy is playing so nicely. This guy, I want to become like that guy. Like this person, my cousin brother's friend, who was like the champion of, like the undisputed champion of the whole institute. He was like, whenever he played with his second rival, the runner-up guy always, those two guys were really good. Everybody, there would be like 50 to 100 people like, oh, those two guys are playing. Come on, let's go to see their match. And looking at their game was just such a pleasure. Just like today, I don't know how many of you will, if you are cricket lovers on YouTube, you will watch endlessly. Even though you can watch the 10-minute highlights, some people choose to watch the 6-hour version and waste 6 hours just watching a game, just because of that. So that inspiration is there. And then to become like that, it's not easy to become like that. You watch the details. So in the case of bhakti, you have role models. Oh, I want to become like them. I don't want to become them, but I want to become like them. And then you follow their techniques. Now, again, sports techniques versus bhakti are different. So please don't think there are these kind of techniques that you can apply. But still, I'll just use that rough analogy to learn from them how to execute bhakti in a similar way. And constantly keep reading about them. Constantly keep exploring their life, their activities, their mood. All that is very, very important. And that increases our desire. And continuously, parallelly, we try to follow ourselves. And the most very important thing is the availability of a senior guide. Because you will have questions. And it is not a recipe cookbook like Vaidhi Bhakti, where you can go and look it up in a book. So you need to ask someone who is already an expert. And you get some guidance. It doesn't have to be like a very everyday 2 hours. No, just at some points, some guidance is needed. Like I would ask for 3 minutes. He doesn't have a lot of time. He would just come and play some shots with me for 3 minutes. Those 3 minutes, I would learn a lot. Because I'm learning like new techniques, a lot of new stuff. Or things that were really barriers were getting unblocked. So one makes progress like this. So this is the process of making progress in Raganuga Bhakti. So I think you can get that analogies. And then you start developing, the taste starts growing. It never stops. Continuously, the taste grows. And the more time you have, the more strongly you want to do those activities. And they give you so much happiness. They give you so much satisfaction that you just then you're completely hooked. You don't want to ever come out. So this is the process. Okay. Now there are very, very important details that we will cover. We are not done with Raganuga Bhakti by any stretch, but there are many details which we will be covering. All right. But this gave you a sort of a general idea. The most important thing, now, if somebody is a genuine or a true Raganuga Bhakta, you will get absolutely nothing by listening to me. I should be listening to you instead. So you may know who you are if you are such a person, and my pranams to you. And please share your realizations with me. I will be most happy to sit down and hear. But if you think you are not that, then the biggest barrier, the number one barrier in making progress is not knowing how to start. This Raganuga Bhakti, especially after seeing these previous verses of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that, oh my God, Golok Vrindavan without Raganuga Bhakti cannot be achieved. And we have been given that sort of programming in our head, Golok Vrindavan is the topmost. So how to perform after understanding or this, there is this desire to perform Raganuga Bhakti. So good, that is a desire is there. Now, how to start? So the first place to start, and we will see this, but this is the most important. The first place to start is to start deeply reading Srimad Bhagavatam. That is like watching the VCR videos of Geet Sethi versus Mike Russell. Oh my God. Or Wasim Akram versus Tendulkar. When you watch that game, you start developing attraction to it. And on Geet Sethi game, you cannot see, because those times VCR, poor recording. It's not like 4K or 8K, and you can see exactly the video. Very fuzzy video of a table. But at least what I could see in that game, what is he trying to do? And I would try to predict, oh, Geet Sethi now, obviously he will, before he has taken the shot, before he has begun to even aim, I would try to predict he will hit this ball and it will go there, and his aim is for the other ball to stop here and the third ball to stop there. That much you can see on TV, even on a fuzzy VCR recording. And I kept getting better and better at that. My prediction was correct. So I am now trying to understand the mind of Geet Sethi. What is he trying to? And many times I would go wrong. I would like, oh, wow, he took this other shot instead. Oh yeah, that was a better one. This one would have led to these problems. So you learn, but the point is you try to get into their mind. What and how are they thinking by looking at them? Simply even over a VCR recorder. With my cousin brother's friend, his name was Rajneesh Garg, by the way. You can, I could go ask him also, Bhaiya, why did you play this? Or how else could you? I could ask. Geet Sethi on a video, how can I ask? So that is like the Srimad Bhagavatam. You can't go and ask one of the Vrajvasis, Nanda Maharaj, why did you do this instead of this? Why do you tie Krishna to this one? Was it too harsh? I think it was a little too harsh to tie him. You could have just, whatever. You can't ask those questions. So you have to read to try to understand their mentality, and ask some devotees as to why did he play. You can ask your local coach, can you please tell me why Tendulkar played that shot? I could ask Rajneesh Garg why Geet Sethi perhaps played that shot. He might give some insights. He's not Geet Sethi, but he's a pretty good player. Good enough to guide me at my level. Right? So these are the aspects. So deep engagement in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the primary Ras Shastra. And when we say Ras Shastra, it's these 5 rasas or the 4 rasas primarily. Shant Rasa is also not counted in the same way. Sayujya Mukti is not counted because that is for those who want to merge into Brahman and so on. So in these 4 primary rasas, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the primary Shastra. So that deep engagement in the Srimad Bhagavatam is like the source of inspiration. Watching those videos of Tendulkar or Geet Sethi or whatever. And also if you can find some examples like my Rajneesh Garg of billiards, find local devotees who are in that mood. They are your local examples in front of you, whom you can associate with and perhaps be able to ask questions once in a while. So association with such devotees who are themselves on this Raganuga path and reading Srimad Bhagavatam and other, what are known as, and other Lila Shastra. Lila Shastra means where the Leelas are described. From my understanding, one of the very important Lila Shastra other than Bhagavatam is Sri Gopala Champu. And there are others as well. But again, Gopala Champu is also very thick. It's not a small one. Gopala Champu is the activities of Lord Krishna as described by Sri Jiva Goswami. New aspects, untold, from his samadhi. Jiva Goswami could visualize, not just imaginary. From his samadhi state, he could visualize, he could see the pastimes of Krishna, which were not in Bhagavatam, extra details or new pastimes and recorded in Gopala Champu. So you can consider it like an extension of the 10th canto. 10th canto, volume 2, so to say. Okay. Second edition of 10th canto with new and expanded second edition. All right. So this is a summary of how to get started, and therefore those who are interested in this path, studying of Srimad Bhagavatam is paramount, and especially of the 10th canto, and especially the first 49 chapters. Why 49? First 49, what is special? Vraj Lila. Vraj Lila.
Krishna's.
After that, the transition starts occurring into Dwarka Lila. So Vraj Lila. Okay, so this was sort of a overview. We'll stop soon. I want to cover few more slides and then we will stop. Then 271. So in this 270th verse, which was just the definition of Rāgānuga Bhakti via a pointer. It wasn't even a definition. It was just saying that Bhakti which follows in the mood, anusarana. Remember that word, following in the footsteps. So Bhakti which follows in, or you can convert this Bhakti into a Bhakta. A Rāgānuga Bhakta is one who follows in the footsteps of a Ragatmika Bhakta. That's all that is being said. And therefore 271 is saying, therefore to understand Rāgānuga Bhakti, first let us understand Ragatmika Bhakti. That's the natural question. Okay, fine. You are saying A equal to B. What is A? It is B. Okay, fine. What is B? So what is Rāgānuga Bhakti? So then the discussion of Rāgānuga Bhakti, Ragatmika Bhakti starts. So shall we go into Ragatmika Bhakti? It will take few minutes of time. Okay, so here is Ragatmika Bhakti. All right. So what is Ragatmika? First thing that we learned from the previous verse. Ragatmika Bhakti is the Bhakti present in who? Present in who?
Brajvasis.
Brajvasis. Okay, so keep Brajvasis in mind. You're not first time reading about Krishna. You all know about Krishna Lila quite a bit. So it's easy to make sense. So, Ishte svarasiki ragaha paramavishtata bhavet tanmayi ya bhaved bhaktihi Sa atra ragatmika oditaha. So, ishte swarasiki ragaha. So, ishta means the object of focus. Ishta. So, when we say Ishtadev, it means our primary deity, Ishtadev, whom we focus on. So, obviously, in this context, who is the Ishta? Krishna. Swarasiki ragaha, that naturally sweet, Swarasiki raga. Raga means that strong attachment. So, that naturally strong, naturally sweet and strong attachment to Krishna. And what does that attachment look like? Param avishtata bhavet. Avishta means just completely absorbed. Couple of words are like possessed by. You've been possessed by it, or that strong hankering for that attachment to Krishna. That strong attachment, that strong hankering. The hankering word is important, or that complete absorption, you can say. Avishtata, param avishtata. It's hard to translate sometimes, but you get the sense that very strong absorption to Sri Krishna. The bhakti tanmayi ya bhaved bhakti, that in that mood, the activities that arise. Bhakti is activities, what you do. And again, please remember, doing can be done from the mind also. So it's not just external, it's internal also. From the mind. Okay, it's like Srimati Radharani constantly thinking of Krishna. It's not like she's always running around or making garlands or cooking. Sometimes she would do that, but most of the time it is the mind. Always thinking. Smarana. So, that bhakti that exists in that mood, or the things that bhakti means, the things that you do, in that mood of constant absorption, deep, constant absorption is Ragatmika Bhakti. All right. So basically, it is that the activities of the Vrajvasis, because the first thing is they are completely absorbed in Krishna, completely, like 100.000, 100, there's not 99.9, completely absorbed in Krishna due to strong attachment and always hankering for him, completely like possessed, like crazy, mad, you can think, possessed by love for Krishna. And then whatever activities that come out of that is Ragatmika Bhakti. Okay? Out of which sometimes you can even abuse Krishna. Right? Srimati Radharani gets mad at Krishna. Never show me your face. Now, Hari Parshad Prabhu is coming next week, and you will hear, I am hoping, lot of all these things. So that is actually one reason why I wanted to start this class today. For those who are, you'll get a strong dose, whole week dose of this, because he's expert in this area. So I wanted you to get that introduction to this, so that now with that mind frame, you can, hear with that mind frame. He may not explain all these beginner level details. He'll just dive straight in. He'll start playing. He's the Wasim Akram or whatever, like, he's the expert, whatever, local, maybe Rajneesh Garg or whatever you can call. So now if you understand this, now when he'll play the game or when he'll start describing some verses or this or that, you can hopefully get the relishment better. Okay. Of the Ragatmika Bhaktas, he'll explain, I'm sure he cannot leave without talking about Krishna Katha and Shri Hari Suri and all those, why did Mother Yashoda do this, or why did Srimati Radharani do this, or this and that. He'll just dive into the deep end with all those topics. And then that's what, all the thing, trying to understand their mind, trying to understand their activities, and trying to derive inspiration from that, and see in your heart if that is someone you would like to follow in the footsteps of. Does that inspire you? Is that what you want to, is that whom you want to follow? You may say, I don't care. I'm fine with my whatever, job or whatever else. That's fine. At least you can see if you get inspired by that. Okay, is it this verse, Ragatmika Bhakti, and also Ragatmika Bhakta also by, you can understand from this. The Vrajvasis who are completely absorbed are Ragatmika Bhaktas. The activities that they do are Ragatmika Bhakti. Tanmayi ya bhaved. In that Tanmayi means whatever comes out of that absorption. Tanmayi. You are that Maya. Maya means you are of that nature. Tanmaya. You are absorbed in that. Ya bhaved bhakti, whatever bhakti comes out then. And it could even be abusing. It could even getting angry at Krishna. It could even be punching Krishna in the face. The friends would hit Krishna also. Or sweet things, of course, that I'm not even mentioning because they're obvious. So this is Ragatmika Bhakti. This is not Raganuga. Raganuga is the starting point. Raganuga Bhakti is the sadhana. This is the sadhya. So, but Raganuga will come later, but because the definition started by saying that bhakti that one begins to do following in the footsteps of Ragatmika Bhakti or Ragatmika Bhakta is Raganuga. So don't think this is the starting point because this seems too advanced. But here, your Sachin Tendulkar is being described. Nobody, you're not going to become Sachin Tendulkar on day one. You can become your local champion. Okay? But you got to start somewhere. Okay? So, but the highest level is being described first. Yes.
Wanted to clarify, Prabhu. So, Sadhana Bhakti, Vaidhi Bhakti, and Raganuga Bhakti. Like a devotional.
Sadhana Bhakti has two parts, Vaidhi and Raganuga. Both are Sadhana Bhakti. Sadhana Bhakti is defined as Bhakti that which is executed by the senses, including the mind, and which results in Bhava Bhakti. This is the definition of Sadhana Bhakti. And the mature level of Bhava Bhakti is Prema Bhakti.
And now we are talking about Raganuga Bhakti, which is
no, Raganuga Bhakti will lead to Bhava Bhakti because Raganuga Bhakti is a part of Sadhana Bhakti. It is one of the subdivisions of Sadhana Bhakti, and Sadhana Bhakti leads to Bhava Bhakti. Therefore, Raganuga Bhakti will lead to Bhava Bhakti. Bhava Bhakti is the sadhya. Sadhya means that then you become like a Ragatmika, not a Ragatmika. You don't become a sort of, you cannot become Srimati Radharani, but you can become an associate of in Vraja. In that sense, you can become a Ragatmika Bhakta. So if you try hard enough, you can become like Sachin Tendulkar. You will not become Sachin Tendulkar. Sachin Tendulkar is Sachin Tendulkar. Sorry, am I like kind of diluting the whole discussion with this cricket example? But you can become modern, new Sachin, maybe like who's the latest one? I don't know. Huh? Virat Kohli, okay. So maybe his role model was Sachin. I'm not sure, but he might say that in the interview. So you can become like that, but not everybody. For every Virat Kohli, there are 10,000 people who tried and didn't get there. So he was one of the few who really tried really hard, didn't give up, must have had a long, series of setbacks and still kept going and going. The inspiration didn't die. And one day he became Virat Kohli. I don't know what his accomplishments are, but whatever. Must have made a lot of runs. So, okay. So this is not Raganuga. We are still discussing Ragatmika, so that Raganuga will come later. Ragatmika bhaktas are completely possessed in thoughts of Krishna always. You don't have that. Even a Raganuga bhakta does not have this. Okay? But he wants to have this. The desire to come here is there. Okay? So by the way, so Ragatmika bhaktas are completely possessed in thoughts of Krishna. And the activities of such bhaktas is called Ragatmika Bhakti. That greed or that strong desire to have the mood similar to the Ragatmika Bhakta is the starting point of Raganuga Bhakti. So you are like so inspired. I was like, oh my God, I want to become like that table one players. But I shouldn't imitate. And by the way, there, since there was this 2 lakh rupees cost, they wouldn't let you imitate. What would be the imitation there? On day one, I start playing on table one. If that cloth rips, my dad is going to be the most angry person on earth. He doesn't have 2 lakh rupees to give for a piece of cloth. So they don't let you imitate. By definition, you know, because you're not expert. But here you can imitate. So many people want to imitate Radharani or Krishna, and man and woman or boy and girl say, oh, let's become Krishna and Radha and all these Prakrita Sahaji. There are all these, you know, imitators. That's just very wrong, perverted version of bhakti. So you start from table 4, which means you start by reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, that's what I said. Therefore, it is to develop that mood, you must know first what the mood is. First, if you don't even know what the mood is, how will you even develop the mood? So it is therefore important, paramount to study, to deeply understand and contemplate about all those things. It's like, you know, watching the game and watching all those things. Oh, where will the ball go? Will he play this shot or that shot, and which angle and this and that? The detailed, you know, you're investing your time in understanding how your role models behave. The bhava, the activities, the internal motivations. Like on that VCR, I would be able to see what this guy is thinking. Which shot is he going to play? This one or that one? Whatever. So internal motivation. So Radha, even if Radharani is getting mad at Krishna, is it because she just wants to get mad at Krishna and like show him, like, you know, like I am the, if you don't listen to me, you're going to have it. Like, you know, sometimes like my wife gets angry at me. Not like that. Even in her getting mad at Krishna is to please Krishna. Every single activity of Srimati Radharani is to please Krishna. Not like us, when I get mad at my wife or she, it's to like show it to her, like, you know, better, you know, think twice before whatever, not following my instruction properly. No, because she knows that Krishna wants me to get mad. He wants to experience that man, that you know, me getting angry at him. He wants that, so she gets angry. How do you know that? By detailed analysis of Srimad Bhagavatam, by hearing it. So first of all, this study occurs best by a deep relishment of Srimad Bhagavatam in association of like-minded Rasika devotees. All this we have studied, but now you are understanding why. Because they will explain this, whatever that this I have highlighted means, these internal mood and internal thinking, why they are doing what they are doing. You will be able to understand that. then you are really understanding who is Ragatmika Bhakta. And then try to follow in their footsteps, not imitate, follow in their footsteps. And also, in addition to Rasik devotees, our previous acharyas, like our Tendulkars and Wasim Akrams or whatever, they are the, you don't have direct access to them, to the acharyas, but you have access to their writings. You cannot ask them questions, unfortunately. You can ask questions to the local expert devotees. But they have left a huge number of, what you can call video recordings of the matches. The match here is like, the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the video recording, so to say, are their beautiful commentaries where they bring out so much rasa, so much nectar, where you can understand why so and so thing is happening. Why are they doing this? Even in the madness of Radharani, when she's getting mad at Krishna, there is love. If you just superficially read, you will think it's just a boy-girl affair, no different from any other fiction. But with these commentaries, you can understand the depth of it. What is happening in Krishna's mind, what is happening in devotees' mind, and so on. There's this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful verse at the end of Mahabharat war, at the end of Kurukshetra war. Lord Krishna meets the Vrajvasis, and he meets the gopis as well. 70 years have passed before the war. So on Kurukshetra battlefield, basically, he meets the Vrajvasis. After 70 years, 70. Now imagine Lord Krishna had told, I will come back. And he doesn't come back, right? And then he is meeting the Vrajvasis, especially the gopis. What would be your feeling if you were in that situation? You'll feel like slapping, giving like a, not one, maybe 10, even 10 is less. But what is Srimati Radharani thinking? Now, this is not fully described in the verse. In the Acharya's commentary, it is described that what Srimati Radharani is thinking, see, normal person will think, you rascal, and even more, I don't want to give more bad abuses in the class, but even worse abuses, you rascal, you whatever, slap or just anger, right? How much you have made me suffer, right? But she is thinking about Sri Krishna, that I know even you have suffered that much. I'm so sorry that you also had to undergo that much suffering. So even in that situation, she is empathizing with Krishna. She fully knows the heart of Krishna, and she is thinking that not only I suffered, I know you suffered too. And there were reasons why you did what you did, but you did not undergo any less suffering. And it was not that you just forgot or you got some, what you call, sadistic pleasure out of making us wait. No, I know you suffered. And all this conversation just happened between the eyes. Yeah. So this can only come out in Acharya's commentaries, not by reading the verse. And that is the level of Srimati Radharani. That is her level. So she is the topmost Ragatmika Bhakti. And this is the activity of the Ragatmika Bhakta. So thinking like this is Ragatmika Bhakti. Can you do that today? Don't try. Otherwise, you'll be like newcomer facing Wasim Akram without a helmet. Okay? But follow in the footsteps. That is Raganuga Bhakti. Okay? But before that, understand this. That itself is also one of the first step of Raganuga Bhakti is to understand. Without understanding, if I would have my kids, for example, got interest in basketball, American sport. They keep telling me, by this time I am not interested. They keep telling me, Papa, come and watch. Damian Lillard is playing. He used to be this famous player from Portland, Trailblazers. I never got any interest, even though they made me sit down and watch. Never got any interest in watching. Till today, I have zero interest in basketball. If Damian Lillard is standing next to me, I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Some people will go crazy. They'll probably have a heart attack or something. So some people could be that, okay, don't get that inspiration. But you have to try. My kids tried that I should get that inspiration in basketball. I didn't. I got it for billiards. I got it for cricket. Maybe my age at that time. But for bhakti, there is no age limit. No age limit. Okay. So that's where bhakti and sports are. So I kind of used this whole sports analogy, but I hope it got the point. Okay. We'll stop here. Okay, since I'm on this slide, I will show this. The next slide is a long discussion. So we'll stop on this one and take some questions if there are any. Ragatmika Bhakti is of two types. This is now 273rd verse. We are on 273. Sa means she. Is Bhaved Dvidha. Bhaved comes in two categories. What? Kamarupa, Sambandharupa. So one that appears with conjugal feelings, Kamarupa, and one that appears with an identity of a relationship. I will explain this in detail later. Okay. But for Kamarupa, I just want to explain one thing. Kamarupa, Kama, the initial thought or meaning that comes is what? Huh? What kind of lust? Say it. Yeah, about male, female, or sex. Global search and replace. Global search and replace. You all understand global search and replace? Not where, no. Wherever applicable means now you're applying some judgment. Not thinking wherever applicable. Everywhere. Replace kama with prema. And I'm not saying this. Sri Rupa Goswami will say this in one of the subsequent verses himself. I'm just telling you upfront. Okay? It is prema. So kama rupa, let me tell you this basic. And sambandha is dasya, sakhya, and vatsalya. So remember there were 4 rasas. So the first one is madhurya, which is kama rupa. The other 3 are dasya, sakhya, and vatsalya. So kama rupa means that obviously there is prema. It's not like in dasya, sakhya, and vatsalya. Mother Yashoda, doesn't she love Krishna? Of course she does. Hanumanji, does he love Lord Ram? Yes. There is love. I mean, different kind of love, not like Mother Sita, but there is love. Sakhya also, there is love. But here is the difference. Please pay attention. I'll explain this again. But since I'm on this topic, somehow or the other, I'm explaining. There is this sense of identity in sambandha. It's not ahankar. Don't think it is ahankar. It is the sense of identity. I am a servant. I am a friend. I am a parent. Therefore, fill in the blank. I will, or I express my love by these means. So the love is there. A friend loves another friend. Father or mother loves the child. A loving servant like Hanumanji loves the master. Correct? But that love is expressed in the domain of that relationship. It does not go outside the domain of that relationship. It will never go outside the domain. So Sambandha has two things, two important things. It's a very important concept. I beat my head so much on this topic. Then I was able to understand finally after discussion with Hari Parshad Prabhu, and it was fairly 100% clear, I would say. Finally. So this is very important point to understand. Sambandha has two aspects. One is that there is a relationship aspect, that I am so and so, so there is a boundary, which means you will definitely not do certain things. That love is not I would say it is unconditional. I was going to say it has boundaries. I'll give you an example. If Lord Ram says to Hanumanji, give me the dust of your lotus feet. Please, I want to do Dandavat Pranam to you, Hanumanji. What do you think Hanumanji will say? No way, he will run away from there. He will try to keep running away. Of course, he cannot outrun Lord Ram, but he will never willingly agree to it. Lord Ram will have to twist and turn his arms or whatever. Right? He will never, because that relationship doesn't allow that. What do you think gopis will say? Readily, take it. Whatever. Please take. Okay. In Vatsalya, for example, a parent will do anything for the child. Maybe he will give the dust of the feet also. Of course, parent is supposed to give, Lord Krishna would touch the feet of Mother Yashoda, and that's fine. But if she is asked by Krishna, from tomorrow, don't call me your son. What do you think Mother Yashoda will say? Will she agree? She will never agree to stop calling Krishna his son. Says, if you don't want to call me mother, it's your choice. But I will never stop calling you my son. Right? If Krishna tells the gopis, don't see me ever again and don't even think I have any relationship with you, what will the gopis say? They'll say, fine. If that's what makes you happy, we will happily do it. We will completely break all relationship with you if that makes you happy. So, in Kama Rupa, this is very important point. There is no limit. There is absolutely no limit to the relationship, to the love, to the bhakti, to the activity, what you would be willing to do. Are you following? There is no limits on that activity, what you are willing to say yes to. You think a servant will say yes? Yes, he will say yes to everything. That's the definition of servant. But I gave you an example. Master wants to touch the feet of the servant. To that, servant will say, no, sir. Are you following? So in Kama Rupa, there is no limit. And there is no title. That's the second aspect. It is titleless. Gopis cannot call Krishna their husband or even their lover. And that is why the married gopis are taken as the, topmost, because there is just no relationship. In the material understanding, no. Is there any name to this relationship? If at all there is a name, it has a bad name, extramarital. There is no official name to such a relationship. It is nameless. Like you say, it's thankless. It's a thankless relationship. They have nothing to hold on to. They have absolutely nothing to say, I am what? I am nobody. Tomorrow, if he just disappears, like in a normal material world, it would be like, I am completely taken advantage of. Mother, father can say, वो तो मेरा बेटा था, ऐसा निकला मेरा बेटा, वो तो doesn't care for me. See what kind of son. At least they can say this in this way, think. Gopis don't even have that to think. He was like, we were the fools. We entered into this stupid relationship with this rascal and we lost everything. There is no name, there is no nothing. They have nothing to hold on to, and still they are completely devoted to Krishna. Which means they don't have anything, not even a title. Not that it's out of ahankar, but it's not that, it's like, I hope you're getting, it's hard to explain in words, but it's like, in material terms, you can say completely taken advantage of. Or the possibility of being taken advantage of is complete. If husband cheats the wife can at least say, he married me. Now he is cheating. See what is happening. Kalyug. Ghor Kalyug. At least she can console herself by thinking that, right? What will the gopis think? We were the fools. There is no title. That is no sambandha. So that is the sambandha rupa. Love is there fully in sambandha. But that sambandha is there. Now you tell me, quiz question. The queens, let me see if you understood. The queens of Dwarka. Now they are also in like a husband-wife. It's not vatsalya, they're not parents. Queens are not sakhya, they are not dasya. So are they in madhur? Are they in kamarupa or sambandha rupa?
Sambandha
Very
rupa.
good. The queens of Dwarka are also in sambandha rupa. They have that sambandha. I am the wife. Even though it is conjugal, but it is sambandha. First thing, what did Rukmini Devi did after getting kidnapped? Married Krishna. She wouldn't have, if Krishna said, I'm not going to marry you. Okay, I don't know, I don't want to speculate, but the first thing that occurred is the marriage. And then, yes, all the loving pastimes like between husband, wife, or boy, girl things happened. But marriage was the sambandha. The gopis out of nothing. And last point, and this is why do we say kama rupa, kama rupa? Why kama? Why not prem would have been said? And why sometimes this sort of this sexual angle is brought up? Because for a girl or a woman, what is the most precious thing to, in terms of, let's say, being taken advantage of?
Character.
Their chastity, isn't it? So that is why even the highest, from our material understanding, So Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu is for our understanding, for the devotees or aspiring devotees. What is being said is that the highest thing they are also putting on the line, which means there is absolutely no boundaries. So I explained to you like there are boundaries in Sambandha Rupa. There are no boundaries, even for your most precious personal thing that you want to keep to yourself. Everything is given. And it's not like Krishna is kind of some kind of a sex maniac or anything like that. That's the only thing he wants from the gopis or anything like that. The bhava is that there is no limit. One can say, oh, gopis will do anything. They will get angry. They can separate for 70 years, but their personal body they will not give. That makes a limit on the relationship or on whatever. Then it becomes like some relationship or whatever. The whole point is it is limitless. Nothing is out of scope. And the reason it is said Kama Rupa is to say that the highest thing, if it is not out of scope, by extension, you can assume everything else is also in scope. Are you following? But what should not say that Kama is the focus point of this whole relationship. It's all about sex. Oh my God. That's so perverted. That's why I said global search and replace Kama with Prema. And Śrī Gosvami will say that in the near future. Okay, we will stop here. I hope this discussion of Sambandha Rupa and Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakti was clear. So we covered rāgānuga Bhakti and we covered that following in the footsteps. What is rāgānuga Bhakti? Bhakta, one who follows in the footsteps of a Ragatmika Bhakta. For that, you have to know who is a Ragatmika Bhakta. And the starting point is ultimately some devotee introducing you to this. That is the starting point. But then, if there is that desire that occurs, that small desire occurs, it can be fanned or increased with immersion in Srimad Bhagavatam, including the commentaries and with Rasik devotees. That increases, and then one begins to practice it in the mood of anusarana or anugamana, not anukarana, not imitation. And then we discussed two types of Ragatmika Bhaktas, Kamarupa and Sambandha Rupa, and we had that discussion. So we will then go into later verses. Next week, no class. Saturday we'll have, so this Wednesday, today is Saturday. Wednesday we'll have first class with Hari Parshad Prabhu in Portland. We'll go all the way till Tuesday. Portland is the place where he's spending most time. So many thanks to him. Please attend. I really wanted to do this class so that those 7 days you can really relish this aspect, because this whole aspect is very near dear to his heart, and he will speak a lot, not at this level, but at a more directly diving into the aspects of the Ragatmika Bhaktas. So please take relishment from that. Watch those cricket test matches, or you'll have live telecast. All right, Damodar Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you Prabhu. Prabhuji, I was thinking from the examples that we were discussing, Hanumanji on Dwarika devotees and Prahlad Maharaj, Bhishma Dev, all these are Sambandha Ragatmika Bhaktas, or only the Vrajavasis would be Ragatmika Bhaktas?
So for the Ragatmika Bhakti is defined as Vrajvasis only. Okay. So by the way, you took the example of Hanumanji, would not, I mean, you can, so Śrī Rupa Goswami has taken this definition of Ragatmika Bhakti in keeping Lord Krishna as the central focus. And all the teachings and Srimad Bhagavatam, when I'm saying, and all those will apply to Ishta, what I mentioned as Krishna. Now, some other, again, this is I am saying from my faint remembrance of hearing from devotees like Hari Parshad Prabhu and so on. Of course, Hanumanji, for example, I take that example. I know you take Bhishma Dev's name, you took Bhishma Dev's name, but again, that would be more complex to discuss because he's in relation to Krishna. But anyway, let's just take Hanumanji because he's just completely different from Krishna. Yes, he would be a Ragatmika Bhakta of Lord Ram. But if that is the direction you want to take, then Srimad Bhagavatam would not be the literature to dive into it. It would be the Ramayana. And one could get to understand the mood and mind of Hanumanji through Ramayana. I'm not expert in Ramayana. I'm not expert in Srimad Bhagavatam either. But nevertheless, I have read more Srimad Bhagavatam than Ramayana. That much I can say. But I'm assuming one can get similar understanding of Hanumanji from Ramayana. But this Madhurya Ras, for example, you will never get from Ramayana. From whatever Ramayana I know, there is no such devotee in Ramayana who exemplifies that. It's all in Sambandha. You will get a lot of description perhaps of Mother Sita and Lord Ram and the whole separation. There's whole huge separation between the two, Lord Ram and Mother Sita, but it won't have that same connotation. So again, it is in with Sri Rupa Goswami has taken this in the direction of Krishna Bhakti. So it is best if one understands Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu in the context of Krishna Bhakti. Don't try to generalize it. You could go wrong. Better is to go to a Rama Bhakta, for example, to get guidance on how to do rāgānuga Bhakti of Lord Ram. Don't try to, learn physics from a chemistry book, even though I'm just making that example.
But Sambandha is also one of Ragatmika Bhakti type.
Yeah, Sambandha, but I'm saying that is true. Sambandha Rupa is part of Ragatmika, yes. I'm saying in Ramayana, if you just want to focus on Kama Rupa, let us say, it wouldn't exist as far as my knowledge goes, because I don't see any such Kama Rupa Ragatmika. Did I say Ragatmika Bhakta? I meant to say Kama Rupa Ragatmika Bhakta would not exist in Ramayana. That's why Lord Krishna is called Purna Avatar. He was able to interact with devotees of all rasas, Akhila Rasa-mṛta-murtihi. In Lord Ram, he was like, let alone interacting with married women, like, he wouldn't even marry more than one. Lord Krishna not only married more than one, plus he had the other, the unmarried gang. So he was like all out. So that is why Lord Krishna is Purna Avatar. So if one is having this relationship like a and that example will also come, the rishis of Dandakaranya. They wanted to have a conjugal relationship with Lord Ram. That example will come up in a different context, but he told you have to wait. So
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. And other devotees like Dwarika devotees like Rukmani Devi and Arjuna, Bhishma Pitama, and all these devotees, are they Ragatmika Bhaktas or only Vrajavasis are Ragatmika Bhaktas?
So in the definition of Sri Rupa Goswami, only Vrajvasis are Ragatmika Bhaktas. But I expanded it to include Hanumanji as a Ragatmika Bhakta of Lord Ram in my last 5 minutes of explanation. And then these other devotees that you are talking about could perhaps also be called Ragatmika. I don't want to speculate, and they would be That's a good question for some very senior devotee. But in the context of Śrī Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhuḥ and what Śrī Rupa Goswami is trying to teach us, the path of Rāgānuga Bhakti, it is limited to Vrajvasis, as is in the definition. It's right there in the definition. Vrajavasi Janadishu.
Exactly.
The person Arjun, he will be in Dwarka. So in Dwarka pastimes, like in this place.
Yeah, but then my wife is here saying that Arjuna you will not find in Goloka Vrindavan, but that is because we are starting point of the assertion or the comment you are making is that Golok Vrindavan is the assumed final goal. So that's going to Golok Vrindavan is not the definition of Rāgānuga or Ragatmika Bhakti. Or being in Golok Vrindavan is not the defining characteristic. That's just a, by the way, a fact. Same thing, yeah. Yeah, so you will not find Arjuna in, he's not a Vrajvasi. That's what you're saying. So that's what I'm also saying, that in this definition of Śrī Rupa Goswami, it is very clearly Vrajavasi Jana Adishu. Okay, so I hope that's the definition. Where do these other devotees fall? Could be a question for a senior devotee. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Shamlila Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for a beautiful class, Prabhuji. Just one question. So the people who are Ragatmika Bhaktas in Dasya Bhav, do they also not have any Aishwarya Jnana of Bhagwan? Like in...
Yes, that is the main point. That
So like
they,
how... Sorry.
Hmm.
So like maybe I'm just too, like my head is just too covered because Dasya we usually think of Hanumanji and he's completely aware ke Ramji is Bhagwan. So that Dasya sort of comes with that attachment. So how do what is the premise, if for the lack of a better word, for people who are in Vraj to have a Dasya bhav, like what
so
like
yeah, so I asked or someone asked the same question. They are serving Shri Krishna as the prince, as the local prince, not as
Okay.
the Supreme Lord, like Raktak and Patrak. So he's the son of the local king. He is not even the supreme king. We know that he used to go and pay taxes to Kamsa. So Kams was the sort of the supreme king, right, of the region, correct?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So his son, even one level lower, local prince of the local, you can say, chief, which is Nanda Maharaj. Prince of
Thank you
son.
so much.
In that mood, they are serving him, but no knowledge of Bhagwan.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yes. Okay. I'm getting question that is the Hari Parshad Prabhu's class be online. Generally, he, doesn't want that. Again, he has 300 classes online on his YouTube already. So I talked to him once, and this is always a question. He says, if it is online, then I can just sit in Mumbai and do online classes. The reason I'm coming here is to meet devotees in person and see them. And what he will be speaking is going to be in a different ways. Every class is different. When my wife cooks matar paneer, it never turns out to be exactly the same as previous. There's always slight difference. So there'll be slight differences, but most of what you can get from these classes, you can, if you listened to all the other classes online, you can get the same general understanding. You will not lose any understanding from the online classes. That exact class may not be there, but So his point is everything is there online. So when I'm coming in person, I want in person. But yeah. So that's his thing. But we always push. Sometimes he, I don't know. I'm not a good pusher. So I will try. I can say I will try, but I am likely to fail. I mean, I kind of agree with his point. So take advantage of, because when you say that it is, I know it is sometimes the other thing that has happened is when you say it is online, many the local devotees also just say, why should I drive on weekend or weekday long 10 miles, 20 miles? I'll just sit at home and just listen on the Zoom. And then they have thin attendance in person. He's coming all the way from, it's not easy to travel with 5 suitcases and family and this and that, and go from 3 days in one place to another place to another place. It's hard. So he's making the effort, so we should make the effort. That was for the local devotees. I understand if somebody is living in some remote area where he's not going to visit or whatever, I understand that. But then there are the recordings are there, and he did this whole Updeshamrit series live where there was opportunity to ask plenty of questions, and many of you already asked that, you attended it. So that opportunity was there. He spent, if you look at any of his class, 3-hour class, 1 hour presentation, 2-hour Q&A. So there was plenty of time to ask questions. Anything else? Okay, thank you so much. Sorry it went very long today, but I wanted to cover this important concept, especially in light of his visit here, to get maximum advantage. We will not have class next week because of his visit. We will resume after that. Thank you so much. Rupa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Jagat Guru, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
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 Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So Hari
Thank you,
Parshad
Prabhuji.
Hare
the
Krishna,
class will be
Prabhuji. Thank you,
recorded.
Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
So
Krishna.
Hari Parshad Prabhuji's class will be recorded so we can take advantage of that recording.
That's what I was talking about all this for last 5 minutes.
Okay, so no, I was just wondering, online is different, but whether it will be recorded so that we can see.
Online, no. Yeah, so no recording, no online, no offline.
Oh, no recording also. Okay.
He's coming to Denver though. After
Oh,
Portland,
really?
go to Denver, yeah.
But I may not be able to even go there. I don't know.
Oh.
Okay, let's see. Okay.
Let's see.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, I will close it.